We're going to be talking about ratios. Ratios are something that you have done before, but we wanted to talk about it in context of proportions. And so let's just look. They're all word problems, but hopefully they won't be too difficult for you. So number one, it says a tight end scored 6 touchdowns in 14 games. Find the ratio of touchdowns per game. So when you're trying to find the ratio, it says find the ratio of touchdowns, and it doesn't say touchdowns compared to what. So you do kind of have to figure that out, but basically I think it would be touchdowns compared to not touchdowns. So first of all, we know that there's 6 touchdowns. Put your little colon. And then how many are not touchdowns? Well, if you subtract 14 minus 6, you get 8, so that's 8. So we have touchdowns and not touchdowns. Okay? And then to get the final answer, you do reduce that. 6 colon 8 is the same as a fraction, 6 over 8. And so basically you just reduce it and you get 3/4, or 3 colon 4. And then that would be the correct answer. Number 2, in a schedule of 6 classes, Marta has 2 elective classes. What is the ratio of elective to non-elective classes? This one is written a little bit better because it tells you elective to non-elective. On this last one, it was touchdowns and then no touchdowns, even though it didn't clearly say that. Okay, so we know that there are 2 elective classes. Now, we know that there's a total of 6 classes, so if I subtract 6 minus 2, 2 from 6, I get 4, so that's 4 non-elective classes. And then you reduce that. 2 divided by 4 is 1 over 2, so 1 colon 2. And so once the reducing answer is the final answer there. Okay, number 3, out of 274 listed species of birds in the United States, 78 species made the endangered list. Find the ratio of endangered species to the listed species in the United States. So what we know is that 78 are endangered, so 78 comes first. Then to get the listed, I'm going to take, this one's a little different because I know that 274 are listed. So 274 would be the listed. See, it doesn't say to non-endangered, it says to listed. So this one's a little different. You do put 274 here because that's what that one talks about. And then you divide it to see if you can reduce. And it does reduce to 39 and 137. Okay, so let's look at some problems where you have to actually find some answers and not just write the ratio. So Myra is playing a board game. After 12 turns, Myra has landed on a blue space 3 times. If the game will last for 100 turns, predict how many times Myra will land on the blue space. So what we know is that after 12 turns, she lands on the space 3 times. So basically we've got 3 is the blue, not blue would be 9, and basically that's a total of 12. So if the game will last for 100 turns, predict how many times Myra will land on this blue space. So I got the 9 because I subtracted 12 minus 3, so what I do is basically you're trying to figure out a unit conversion, but you can take 3x and add it to 9x, and then we're going to equal that to the total. So anytime you have problems like this, if you know what the ratio is, you put x with it, and equal it to the total. Okay, and you may get a decimal. It may not come out to be even exactly, but here in this case we get 12x equals 100. Divide by 12, and you are going to get a decimal, which is 8.3. So our prediction is going to be 8 or 9 times. Basically, probably 8 since it doesn't round up. Okay, number 5. The ratio of the measures of a triangle is 4, 6, and 8, and its perimeter is 126. What are the measures of the sides of the triangle? What you need to know about the perimeter is all the sides added together. So this is the ratio of that. You do kind of like what we did up here with the ratio. You do 4x plus 6x plus 8x, and you equal that to the total. So add those together, and then divide by 18. Now we got x is 7, but that does not tell us the measures of the sides. What it does is it tells me that each side is multiplied by 7. So the first side is going to be 4 times 7, which is 28. The second side will be 6 times 7, and the third side will be 8 times 7. So that will be 42, and then that will be 56. And so this is our final answer here because it asks for the length of the sides. On number 4, I realized I just found x. I didn't actually go and figure out how many times she would land on the blue space. So because the blue was 3, I do need to go back and multiply that 8.333 times 3, and you do get 25 for the blue space. Alright, number 6. Sorry for the confusion there. The ratio of the measures of the side is 5, 7, 8, and its perimeter is 40 inches. So similar to number 5, we still take 5x plus 7x plus 8x and equal it to the total. Add those together, 5 plus 7 plus 8. And then you get x is 2. After you get x, multiply each of those by 2. So 5 times 2, 7 times 2, 8 times 2. So we get 10, 14, and 16. And number 7. There are 600 pupils in a school. The ratio of boys to girls in this school is 3 to 5. How many girls and boys are in the school? Very similar. So we take 3x plus 5x and equal it to 600. Add that together. Divide by 8. Okay, we want to know how many boys there are. This is boys to girls. So we know boys is 3. So we're going to take 3 times 75 to get our final answer, which is 225. Just a couple more problems here. Number 8 and number 9 are very similar. It asks for the measures of the angles, and it doesn't tell me what the total is. Well, if it's a triangle, I know that the total is 180. The angles in a triangle all equal 180. So I'm just going to add each of those and equal them to 180. So we have 4x plus 5x plus 6x equals 180. And then we divide by 15. Now to get the measures of the triangle, remember I multiply each of them by 12. So 4 times 12 is 48. 5 times 12 is 60, 6 times 12 is 72, and that's the measures of the angles. If you add those up, you get equal 180, so that makes sense. Number 9, very similar again. So 5x plus 7x plus 8x, I still equal them to 180 because we're talking about angles. That's 20x equals 180. So then I divide. I get x is 15. Multiply each of those by 15. 5 times 15 is 75. 7 times 15 is 105. And 8 times 15 is 120. And there's the measures of the angles. Last question. We have this painting with a length of 60 inches and 30 inches. And the original length has a length of 2.5 inches. And what is the width? There's a couple ways you can do it. You can do it like a proportion, or you can do it like a ratio. I actually think a proportion is easier to solve it, because basically what this is saying is if I divide 60 by 30, because that's the length over the width, I should be able to divide the length over the width here. We know the length is 2.5, and the width is what we're looking for, so we're just going to put a W or an X right there. And we're going to be solving some proportions. We solved them some yesterday. So this is a problem like yesterday where you cross multiply. And some of these problems that we just did could probably be done this way, but I wanted to show you the other way so that you could see all the different ways that you can solve these proportions. And you get x is 1.25, and so that is the width.